Good evening, ladies. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Solana, which has just crossed all-time high. I think might struggle a little bit here, but I think its path to 420 is preordained. It's kind of like when Bitcoin broke 74k, it kind of struggled for a little bit, and then eventually just popped straight to 100k without any breaks. So I think that's going to happen to Solana. It's probably going to pop up to 420, 500 in that area, and there's a lot of reasons why that I want to go through in today's video. And there's some technical updates that I'm going to mention at the end of the video, which are huge for Solana. So as you can see from the chart versus USD, it looks incredibly bullish, as well as it also made a new all-time high versus Bitcoin. So I actually sold a bit of Bitcoin here, basically nailed the bottom, luckily, just out of pure luck, but sold a bit of Bitcoin for more Solana because, like I've been saying, that's kind of how I want to play the rest of the cycle, taking profits on my Bitcoin, either into USD or into higher beta plays that I think is going to outperform, and I really do think Solana is going to outperform Bitcoin for the rest of the cycle by at least maybe like double the returns. All right, so why did Solana pop so hard recently? Why has it gone from like under $200, like $180, all the way up to almost hitting $300 within a matter of like a couple of weeks? Obviously, in the last couple of days, Donald Trump brought out that meme coin. I did a quick video on that yesterday if you want to find out what happened there, but Donald Trump created a meme coin and he put it on Solana. For obvious reasons, Solana is just a much better user experience, especially for something like meme coins. So he put a meme coin on Solana, and that was like, in my opinion, I don't think people really think about it in this way, but when you want to buy a meme coin, and you're like, obviously everyone in crypto Twitter saw it first. I unfortunately missed the drop of it because anyone in Euro poor land was asleep at the time of the drop, so I only saw it when I woke up and it was already $20 billion. So I was like, okay, I'll buy a little bit of it, or it's $15 billion. It's still gone up since that, which I'm actually a bit surprised about, but nevertheless, didn't make 6 or 7 figures like everyone on crypto Twitter. But regardless of people on crypto Twitter, this actually really, the Trump meme coin really branched out into like normie world. So I saw a lot of people who are not involved in crypto Twitter get very interested on the Trump coin. People who are, right-wing people who might own a little bit of Bitcoin, but they're not like deep in crypto. They just own a little bit of Bitcoin or a little bit of some meme coins, the Dogecoin. They kind of, maybe bought it in the last cycle, bought a little bit of it and are interested slightly. All those people were very interested in the Trump coin. And how on earth do you go ahead and buy Trump? If you wanted to buy the Trump coin, what do you have to do first? You have to buy Solana. And how do you buy Solana? You buy it with US dollars. So in order for people to buy the Trump coin, it's gone up like to tens and tens of billions. And maybe let's just say 50% of that wasn't from crypto Twitter. It's from people outside crypto. So those billions of dollars of fresh inflows into Solana. So that's why Solana price pumped, because in order to buy the Trump coin, you have to first buy Solana. It's against Solana. And on top of that, obviously people are like, oh, it's really bullish that it's on Solana. Everyone's going to choose Solana for meme coins, for any sort of coins. So it's a combination of that, but I don't think people really think about, oh, for any normies who don't have Solana in their wallet already, they're going to have to first buy Solana using US dollar, which is going to pump the price of Solana versus the US dollar. So this video is going to be strictly about Solana, but I will say this liquidity injection into the Solana ecosystem is going to really benefit all of the apps and all of the other meme coins in the Solana ecosystem. Once the Trump hype kind of dies down a bit, I think a lot of those profits, a lot of those, those crypto Twitter people who made 6 or 7 figures might be like, oh, I'm going to buy some Solana NFTs. I'm going to keep it. I'm just going to keep my money in Sol or whatever, like maybe some of them then sell their Sol for US dollars and cash out that way. So that would be bad for the price. But I think overall, a lot of the US dollar that has been injected into the Solana ecosystem is going to be spread around into the apps and into the meme coins, into the NFTs. So it is the Solana cycle. There's no doubt in my mind that's the Solana cycle, and I've been saying that since Solana was $25. And there's obviously, because of the UX, because of the better apps, because of the speed, because of the transaction fees, like everyone knows that there's so many metrics that Solana is better to use than Ethereum. Like anytime, if you used Ethereum in the last cycle, everyone who went over to Solana was like, oh my God, this is so much nicer to use. So I want you to imagine a scenario in your head. Okay, so there's an alien who's come from a parallel universe where there are different cryptocurrencies. They have their own cryptocurrencies that they've made with different names, different technology, So they know what cryptocurrency is, they know how it works to an extent, and they come to Earth. They have no idea what the market caps of any cryptocurrency is or the prices of what any cryptocurrency is, and you show them the following data. So this is Solana in pink, like this kind of light pink, and then Ethereum data in purple. And I want you to imagine what they would think, how much they would think the market cap of each blockchain was if they were to look at this data. So top left there, we can see Solana DEX volumes higher than Ethereum. On the top right, monthly tokens created on Solana, way more on Solana. Obviously, it's way cheaper to create a token on Solana than to create a token on Ethereum. I tried to create a token on Ethereum a couple of years ago, and it was going to cost me like $2,000 to add the liquidity just for the transaction fee to create a token. Like, fuck that, I'm not doing that. Solana, it's basically free to create a token. Just do it on Pump Fun. Monthly traders, obviously way more on Solana. DEX to SEX volume percentage. Okay, that's not really relevant. Okay, next slide, Solana value creation. This is the real economic value on the left. So again, Solana is in the pink bars and the Ethereum real economic is in the purple bars, the dark purple bars. And as you can see, Solana has actually just eclipsed Ethereum recently. Well, these are since October, so it's actually probably even higher at this point because of the Trump meme coin. So this is actually like a few months old. These numbers probably are even looking even better for Solana comparisons to Ethereum. Total application revenue, again, Solana is now higher than Ethereum. And DEX volumes, this is like basically the same information, but just packaged differently. So you can see it's over 100%. So Solana surpasses Ethereum in basically all of them, except stablecoin volumes, which is 98%. So it's basically on par. And total value locked is only 10% of Ethereum. So the only metric so far that Ethereum is beating Solana is in total value locked. And why is that? It's because Ethereum's market cap is higher and a lot of that TVL is Lido staked ETH. So if the market caps are the same, this TVL would be much closer. So again, going back to my previous question, if you were an alien and you were looking at these statistics and this data, what market caps would you assign either of them? What relative market caps? You'd probably potentially say like Solana is 3 times whatever Ethereum is, 3 times the market cap of what Ethereum is. And then you'd be probably extremely surprised to realize that Solana is actually 1/3 the market cap of Ethereum, still 1/3 the market cap of Ethereum, despite all this data, despite all the users, despite all the better UX, and despite all the growth. I know it's been an obvious trade for the last couple of years, but I still think it, on a relative basis, still fundamentally undervalued in comparisons to Ethereum, and people are still capitulating Ethereum, throwing it into Solana. Ethereum's still $400 billion market cap, so still crazy high. So I don't know why you would still be holding Ethereum. Like, everyone's like, oh, it's got to reverse at this point. I've held it for so long. No point selling it now. It's the moment I sell, it's going to pump, and just happens again and again that it just underperforms Solana and Bitcoin. To add to this, if we go to DeFiLlama.com, you can see this is the total DEX volume in the last 24 hours. Now, obviously, this is a little bit unfair to pull up the total DEX volume of the last 24 hours because the Trump meme coin was probably one of the highest volume events in crypto history. So maybe a little bit unfair to compare the two, but so you can see the 24-hour volume on Solana was $21 billion, way higher than anything in history for 24 hours of volume. And that's actually double the total volume of every other chain combined. Like, every other chain was only 10 billion combined. Solana volume 21 billion. So absolutely insane day for Solana yesterday. And obviously all of those fees are going to go to help the Solana price because, you know, some of them are burned or they go to staking rewards. So if you have stake SOL, you know, it's going to increase your value of the stake SOL. So obviously $21 billion, like I said, the highest volume event in crypto history. And could this have been done on any other chain? Probably not. Maybe on something like Sui, but why would you put it on Sui at the moment? And it wouldn't have worked on Ethereum. The gas prices would have just went ballistically high, probably like thousands of dollars to get a transaction through, just something outrageous. And it probably would have been congested. Same with all the layer 2s, probably fees would have spiked as well. So people think layer 2s are so cheap, but actually if there's a lot of network activity, the fees still spike on the layer 2s. It doesn't make a difference. It's the fundamental architecture of the EVM, the Ethereum virtual machine, is that if there's a lot of congestion or if there's a lot of people trying to use the network, the only way you can balance it is by spiking the fees until people are not willing to spend that much, and that reduces the demand. But Solana doesn't have that issue. So like I said, maybe some other chains could have theoretically done this, handled this much volume, but for Solana to handle that much volume with no hiccups, no congestions, fees didn't go above like half a cent to get your transactions through. Insanely cheap still, insanely fast. I know Solana has had hiccups in the past, so it's pretty impressive that nothing happened here, but other blockchains are nowhere near tested to that kind of degree in the real world yet. So Sui, for example, nice chain, really fast, really nice to use, or something like Hyperliquid, really fast, really nice to use. But again, they haven't been stress tested to this degree. And if there was all this volume, maybe they would struggle. Maybe their fees would spike. And Sui, if you didn't know, is already half the market cap of Solana, and like minuscule revenue in comparison to Solana, minuscule users in comparison to Solana, minuscule wallets in comparison to Solana, but still is half the market cap. Does that mean Sui is overvalued, or does that mean Solana is undervalued? Personally, I kind of go towards the former. Everything in crypto is way overvalued, probably in reality, but nevertheless, I do think relatively it's more likely that Solana is undervalued in comparisons to other blockchains. The other thing I would mention is that it's not guaranteed that Bitcoin remains the biggest cryptocurrency in the world. It's probably the most likely scenario in my opinion, but it is possible that a blockchain, like a smart contract platform where you can actually build things upon, and like the reason, the way I said Solana is overvalued in comparisons to its revenue, comparisons to the amount of users it has, like each user is valued at like $20,000, or every transaction on Solana is worth 2,000 if you divide the market cap by the number of transactions per day. That's like insanely high metrics. However, you have to factor in that the Solana token has a monetary premium. So that monetary premium is because, for example, any meme coin you want to buy on the Solana network is valued in Sol, so you have to buy it with Solana. Now you can theoretically buy it with USDC on the Solana blockchain as well. But in order to do any transaction on Solana, you need some Solana. So that's where the monetary premium comes in. And yeah, potentially in 5 or 10 years, 20 years, if the global financial systems are built on a smart contract platform, and you can do everything, like the whole Web3 is built on a smart contract platform and Solana is the main one, there is a possibility that the market cap could be higher than Bitcoin. So for me now, I'm like, should I really be selling all my Solana during the cycle, or should I just hold some just in case it really takes off over the next decade or so? Yeah, so at that point I'm kind of thinking maybe there's a shot here. Like, in order for Solana to be replaced, you're gonna have to come up with something that's 10 times better. And what could you improve on Solana that make it 10 times better? My Solana transactions go through pretty fast, especially with Firedancer coming out later in the year, which we're going to touch on. The Solana transactions are going to be so fast towards the end of the year. So unless Solana has some problems, if that, like, it doesn't ever get to 500 transactions per second with Firedancer, if that doesn't work, maybe something else could come along and replace it. The advantage that Solana has is the network effects, and people are so used to using Solana. And the only reason that Solana could kind of replace Ethereum, even though Ethereum had such entrenched network effects, was because Solana was so superior from a UX perspective. So what could you really improve the UX on Solana? Like, Sui is maybe slightly faster, but if they had as much activity as Solana, would it still be slightly faster? And I suppose Sui has some other advantages. Potentially the programming language is slightly better, so the developers might go there. But more than likely that the developers are going to go to Solana where all the users already are. It's quite hard to oust the leader of a smart contract platform. And I think in my head, Solana is the leader, even though in market cap it's not the leader. Looking at all these metrics, all the data that I shared earlier in the video, it kind of looks like the leader to me. So it could be the leader for the next 5 or 10 years. And the total opportunity, the TAM with that is obscenely large. All right. That's enough waffling, but what else can we look forward to with Solana? So as we know, the President of the United States, is he being inaugurated today or tomorrow, is now a Solana degen, knows what Solana is, and created a meme coin on Solana. I looked on Polymarket and I still see that the Solana ETF, the chances of it being approved by July 31st are still only 60%. I think at this stage this is almost a given that it's going to be approved this year, the Solana ETF. And that's a bullish catalyst to look forward to. Now, if you remember how much this pumped Bitcoin, potentially you could be looking at something similar for Solana. Obviously, Ethereum had its own ETF and it just didn't get anywhere near the flows that Bitcoin got. But like we said, Solana and Bitcoin are kind of more desirable for institutions to buy. They have more solid fundamentals, more growth potential in most people's minds. So I think Solana could get a lot of inflows. And the other bonus that Solana has over Bitcoin and Ethereum is that it doesn't have this grayscale like overhang. So if you remember when the Bitcoin ETF launched, Grayscale were dumping billions and billions and billions of dollars a day, every few days or something, and that just suppressed the price of Bitcoin and actually dumped the price of Bitcoin. So once the ETFs went live, Grayscale dumped so much Bitcoin and the market had to absorb all that. Same thing happened with Ethereum, that Ethereum, the ETF didn't really pump it at all. Solana doesn't have that overhang whatsoever. Now, we do have to say that about 2% of the supply is getting unlocked in March. So, just be aware of that. It's probably going to get front run. Potentially it's already priced in, but that is an unlock coming for Solana in a few months. So maybe that would offset the Grayscale dumping. A bit of a side tangent that I wanted to mention is that the Trump coin was actually seeded on Meteora. So I've done a couple of videos on Meteora, and Meteora actually became the top DEX on Solana over the last 24 hours because the Trump coin was on Meteora. So if you don't know, Meteora is the only one of these three, including Jupiter, that doesn't have a token yet that you can farm. So if you want to farm the Meteora token, I think it's probably worth doing. I'm deluding myself by saying this, but if you do watch either of my recent videos on Meteora and jump into my Telegram group, and I'm sharing my plays in my private group about the trades that I'm doing on Meteora, and they're working out really well. So I'm doing well on Meteora. If you want to get involved in that, watch those videos. So the technical updates for Solana, which are stuff that we still yet to look forward to, include Firedancer, which is already live on mainnet. Most people don't realize that, but it's actually live on mainnet. I think it's 2% of the transaction, so it's not going fully yet. It's not impacting or it's not contributing to consensus yet. So they're just still in testing phase, but it's actually being used on mainnet. But there's still a lot of testing to be done for Firedancer. So we still have to wait on probably until maybe like Q3 of 2025. That's probably bullish, because the longer we have to wait for it, maybe it's like a bullish catalyst that people are like, oh, Firedancer coming, I'm going to buy before Firedancer. And then if it goes live and it's a success and Solana's even faster, I know at the moment when Solana is quite busy, sometimes your transaction might take up to 2 seconds, which is, it's not crazy long, but it's still like, or your transaction might not go through. A lot of the time that might be your own fault for not sending the slippage correctly, but sometimes your transaction might not go through. So Firedancer is being created by Jump Crypto, and Jump is like one of the biggest trading firms in the entire world, high frequency trading. So they actually developed this Solana validator client. So they have the Firedancer, which is fully live on testnet, and that's like a mishmash of the current Solana validator client as well as Firedancer client. So they're doing still all this testing, and yeah, so once that does go live, Solana is going to be even faster than it already is, and also going to be super reliable, because there's going to be 2 different validator clients. There's already 2 that are, and there's the Jido validator client, and then there's the Solana Foundation validator client. So that's basically like the script that it's written in, the code of the validator clients. So if one goes down, the other can keep going. However, I think they're both written in Rust. So if one of them goes down, there's a possibility that they both have the same bug and they both go down. However, once Firedancer goes live, I forget which language it's written in, I think Java or something. Once that goes live, the likelihood of them both having a bug at the same time, because they can't have the same bug, it's so unlikely that Solana would ever go down again. So that would be really, really nice. The reliability of Solana will just like increase by 100x or something. Like say there was a 1 in 10 chance in 2025 that Solana would go down at the moment, and then there's a 1 in 10 chance on the Firedancer client that Solana would go down. So for them to both go down at the same time, if you remember your probability maths, that would be 1 in 100 chance. So I know that's not the actual numbers, I'm just pulling that out my arse, but that's how you can think about it. But I do like Solana. There is a likelihood, and that would be an incredible buying opportunity, but there is still a strong likelihood that Solana could go down before Firedancer comes out. So don't be completely shocked if that happens. That can happen with Solana. If there is a problem, all the validator clients stop routing transactions until the problem is sorted. So just be aware that that could still happen for the moment. So the last technical thing we're going to talk about, and then maybe we'll talk about price targets and a bit more fun stuff, is 00. So if you haven't heard about this, this was created or is being created by Austin Fedora, I think, and he's one of the guys on the Solana Foundation. And if you know how the internet works, there's these optical fibers. So say, for example, from America to Europe, there's these optical fibers that run underneath the sea, and you're basically beaming light through these optical fibers, which is bouncing through the fibers, being totally internally reflected. And that's how the internet is, just pulses of light, just bits, ones and zeros, and that's how the internet is spread out throughout the world. However, we overbuilt them like over the last 20 years, and there's a lot of extra fibers that aren't really being needed at the moment. Not all the internet goes through these fibers, but some of the internet goes through these optical fibers, but we built too many. So there's these dark fibers that aren't being used. So the Solana, well, it's not the Solana Foundation, it's a separate company, are going to use those dark fibers to have their own private network in order to validate Solana transactions faster. So not having, basically the upgrade is, Solana is going to be even faster because it won't be fully reliant on public networks, public internet. You can have your own private internet validating transactions for the Solana blockchain. So that's what 00 is. And it's not going to just be exclusive to Solana, but Solana is going to probably get first dibs on this. So that's really interesting. Another bullish update, making Solana even faster and more reliable. So in terms of price targets, I've already kind of done a video on my price targets for Solana, and I don't think that's really changed. Kind of since I've been saying from $20, I do think Solana could potentially hit $1,000 this cycle. And it's not even like, probably that's definitely at the higher end. I definitely wouldn't be waiting for that price to sell, I think, but getting up to 420, 500, I think, is pretty much a guarantee at this point. It's like Bitcoin definitely has another pump to at least 120, 130. And I think at that point, Solana could get to that, $500 range. And then everything after that, that's when risk is going to be very, very high. But there's also the potentiality that Solana could go even higher than $1,000. If the market cap of, I broke that all down in my video on this, but if the market cap of the crypto total market cap gets to 10 trillion, which is the bullish target that people are talking about, which I didn't like, that's definitely on the higher end. Like it could even go to 12, 13 trillion in the cycle, but let's say 10 trillion, definitely bullish. I think 7 trillion would be amazing. 7 or 8 trillion would be absolutely fantastic. I think we're at like 3 or 4 trillion now. So to get to 7 trillion would be unbelievable. But if we did get to the very bullish target of 10 trillion, and Solana's dominance right now is like 3 or 4%, probably 4% now. If the dominance of Solana got to 10%, that would be a $2,000 Solana price. So if the market cap, the crypto total market cap got to 10 trillion and the Solana dominance got to 10%, that's over $2,000 per Solana. Now, that's very bullish. But when you think the Ethereum dominance in the last cycle got to well over 20%, like, is saying Solana dominance could get to 10% completely out of the question? Maybe not. Maybe it is, maybe not, but I think it's possible. So let's knock off, like, instead of 10 trillion, we could say 7 trillion or 7.5 trillion for the crypto total market cap. And instead of saying 10%, we could say something like 7%. That's still probably about $1,000 per Solana. So I do think that's very, very much on the cards. Extreme risk, that's definitely on the higher end of the targets. But, after looking at all this data, I do think it's still the Solana cycle. Everything is being built on Solana. All the new speculative shite, like AI agents, all this Crazy stuff. Everything is being built, everything novel. Meme coins, I think NFTs as well, where the celebrities are throwing their meme coins. It's all happening on Solana so far in this cycle, and I don't think that's going to completely stop or slow down at this point. So really hope you enjoy the video, hope you learned something, and thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Cheers.